Hi there, my name is David Lee. I'm a professor in the drama department here at the University of Alberta. My area of expertise is voice and speech, and one of the things that I cover, both with my students here at the university and with professionals out in the community, is dialects. Now, to show you how I do that, I thought, well, I would give you a 2-minute lesson on how to do a standard English dialect. And it's a dialect that is an upper middle, upper class dialect. So the first thing we need to do to find that dialect is to sit up and forward in our chairs. If we do that, the sound's going to come to the front of our mouth, our tongue's going to move forward. It's going to be much easier for us to speak clearly and crisply as is required for this dialect. If we sit back in the chair, we can hear what happens. So the tongue goes back in the mouth, and that's a great place to go if we want to do a working class dialect. But we're looking for this upper class dialect, so we want to be up and forward. So that when we're saying words with T's and D's, our tongue is sitting forward on our gum ridge, almost touching our front teeth, but not quite. That way, when we say little and bottle, we're getting the T instead of it sounding like little and bottle. In order for us to find the basic vowel changes that happen with this dialect, the best thing to do is just to get the general shape of the dialect inside our mouths. So I like to think of this standard English dialect as being an upright rectangle in the mouth. The way we find this, imagine you're speaking through a crack in a door. Right? Oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven, you should see the shape. The other way to find that is to press your fingers in just behind the eye teeth until the teeth come apart. And we get, oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven, I keep that shape, would ascend the brightest heaven of invention. The other thing that will help me here is if I keep a little energy in my upper lip, right? That will help me keep that shape inside my mouth. Now that won't help me with the great Canadian sounds I and ow, as in the words right and about, right? In order to get rid of some of those sounds, we need to take our Canadian tongue, which sits up in the center, we need to get it to go down a little bit. So what you can do for this is you take a hard candy, you put it in the back of your tongue, you speak some text, and you'll see if you can keep the candy there without it falling off, and that will keep the back of the tongue down. Now that's also going to help you when it comes to making R sounds, right? Because if the back of the tongue is down, then when you go to say the word car, you're not going to get car, you're going to get car. So you'll get hard, car, farm, and those kinds of sounds. The next thing I want to talk about is the intonation pattern, which gently rises and falls throughout the phrases. You can hear it. It's very musical, much more musical than the way we speak. It comes down softly at the end of the line. So very much the same as an American. American comes up and comes down at the end as well. The difference being an American has a hard landing. They come down hard at the end. The British has a soft landing. I'm very happy to be here today. I'm very happy to be here today. The last thing to think about with this dialect is that quadrisyllabic words tend to become trisyllabic. So lavatory becomes lavatory, secretary becomes secretary. So those are the basic rules. Obviously there's some pronunciations which you might have to look up, but if you follow those basic rules, you work on it, you'll have yourself a nice standard English dialect. And once you've got that under your belt, oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention, start to play with some others. Oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention. Oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention. Oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention. Oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention. Have some fun.